Yo, what's good my fellow Magic Knights? It is your boy DEADMANVINCE back with another JJK Phantom Parade video. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the influx of content that has been coming your way. Today we are here to talk about which rare characters you should work on, which sounds completely insane because literally in games you typically don't work on rare characters. If you look at Dokkan, if you look at Grand Cross, if you look at BCM even, like you can work on the rare characters, and especially in BCM and Grand Cross where characters can be pushed all the way to the max rarity no matter what their base rarity is, but even still most of the time they have no use cases. I can't think of any use cases for any characters on BCM that are rare. I tried to use Sister Lily one time to boost penetration on Jack, and it did whatever. It was so long ago, it was whatever. And then Grand Cross, like rare characters were kind of gimmicky. You could use them for like deathmatch and stuff like that, but that was pretty much the extent of it. But in JJK Phantom Parade, rare characters are actually very useful. It is insane how well developed this game is. I know every single time I make a video about this game, I'm just like glazing, but I'm just like, bro, you're talking to somebody who's come from years of gacha game. And the first gacha game I ever played was Brave Frontier, and even though it had its downsides, it was still an extremely fun game to play and an extremely fun game to discover, because that's a very big aspect of it, the discovery aspect, just figuring out new things about the game. But also there's from Dokkan to Grand Cross to solo leveling to BCM to all this, like there has always been this crippling concern with the fact that rare characters cannot be pushed up and be useful or something like that. And literally in Dokkan, they have systems that probably could boost rare characters, but they just don't. They just decide not to push rare characters only to the top rarity, which makes sense because a lot of the rare characters are a bunch of like useless dregs kind of like characters. But guys, in JJK Phantom Parade, we actually have some rare characters that are actually worth a damn, and we're going to be talking about them today. And I once again have these guys in order from who is the least likely that you should work on to like who is the most likely you should work on. There are 4 characters. 3 of them you probably know already at this point. We've been making content on this for a week, not just me, but all of our content creator homies here. Shout out Slug, shout out Dojo, shout out Kujita, whoever has just been putting stuff out there. If I didn't name you, don't be worried about it. I threw one extra character in there who I didn't even know what his kit was, because I automatically was just like, okay, you're not one of the rare characters that I already have on my radar, so I'm not paying attention to you. You're already off the list, right? But I threw a curveball in there, so let's go ahead and get to it, guys. First up is Toge Inumaki, the rare red Inumaki. Now, I'm not really going to be breaking down like their full like kit, because like I'm gonna be real. All the characters that are in this list are neither attacker nor defender. They're either supporter, enhancer, or obstructor, or interferer, or whatever they name the classes. But yes, I do not believe in using rare characters for damage. That's where I kind of like draw the line. Like Mechamaru just happened to be a very lucky coincidence that I just started dumping materials into him because I had no green DPS, and he actually just turned out to be a very, very good DPS. And I'm not gonna say he keeps up with Gojo, but like I have tried to depend on Gojo for some missions before, and my Mechamaru has literally been the clutch man all the way at the end, the only man standing. So SR characters for damage and maybe defending. Honestly, I think defender is just a dead class in this game until they drop like that ultimate character. Who would be like the ultimate defender character when they finally drop him? I could see a Toto from when Yuji, Mahito, and Toto all fight and they all went 120%. I can see a Toto from that becoming a DPS. Actually, isn't that already a Toto in the game? Because I know there's a Toto that's like doing this face and he has Takata-chan behind him. So maybe that's it. But literally, I don't trust rare characters for damage or for defense. So his skill 1 is Crush, and by the way, guys, all his skills he's sacrificing HP because that's how his actual power works in the show. Every time he says something, if it is influencing an enemy that is stronger than him, it's going to greatly affect him. If he's influencing an enemy that's a little weaker than him, that's going to be fine. He just needs like some throat spray or something like that. The SSR Inumaki, I believe, has a move with the throat spray where he can heal himself. So this Inumaki does not have that. This right here is pretty cool, actually. I don't really care too much about this, but it does work out very well. I'll read this at level 10. Any skill that matters, I'm going to read at level 10. Any skill that doesn't matter, we're just going to kind of like breeze over it. But right here, decreases all allies' damage received by 43% for 2 turns, 2 times. So it goes from 25% all the way up to 43%. So that's not bad at all. And then fills all allies' ultimate gauge by 213. So I did not know that he actually fills everybody's ultimate gauge. So that's an even bigger GG right there. I thought this skill obviously wasn't useless, but I didn't think it had as much utility as the next skill we're about to go over. So I was just kind of like, whatever. It does sacrifice 12% HP no matter what level you have it at. I feel like something they need to do with Inumaki characters is, as you level up the skill, it should lower how much HP it takes from yourself. Because you leveling up the skill is somewhat a reflection of Inumaki's mastery of that power or something like that. And if he's mastering his ability more and more, his cursed energy reserves are probably growing alongside that, and he's probably going to be able to start fighting stronger and stronger enemies. Skill 3, don't move. This is the move right here. For some reason, a 95% chance to stun the enemy, only for 1 turn, is only worth 5% of HP to him. I understand a full team-wide buff and ultimate skill gauge, 12% HP, but like, I can't front of you. I feel like this is really important too. This is helping you build your team and bolster your defenses. This makes it so that you are, if you're fighting one enemy, bro, you have a free turn. You pretty much have a free turn. And when you're using him alongside certain buffers, you can pretty much buff him so that you can use this like 2 times, 3 times, back to back to back. Right? So stopping the enemy, a 95% chance to stun the enemy on level 1, all you gotta do is level it up once. You level it up once, he's literally over a 100% chance to stun the enemy. Now, there are some fights that you do where the enemy can't be stunned on certain turns, or maybe they have a stun resistance that's higher than 100%, or higher than a certain level, and the 100% doesn't automatically mean you get it. If you get the skill all the way up to level 10, you can have a 156% chance to stun. So maybe in those stages where bosses can't be stunned on certain stages, maybe they just have a very high resistance to it, and I am not able to stun them just yet because my Inumaki skill 3 is not level 10. But also, guys, with it being a rare character, it should be cheaper theoretically to work on these characters too. So this character can get you something that you really need with a team-wide defense buff, filling ultimate gauge, and also hitting you with the hitting enemies with the stun. And 95% on level 1 is crazy. And also, this kind of carries over to our next character that we're going to talk about. This is the curveball one that I was talking about. He also has a 20 cost for this move. So the reason why you can spam this move so much is because it is such a low cost skill. So do not forget that. Then his ultimate, Explode, deals 480% Jujutsu damage to a selected enemy, and he sacrifices 15% HP. He can't die for sacrificing HP, so that's good. But he does, this is gonna sound so crazy, but he actually does pretty decent damage, right? I was using him alongside Gojo, Yaga, and Nanami. Yaga and Nanami are goated. If you haven't seen the SR characters you should work on, go check out that video. I'll leave it linked up for you. But literally, the run that I was doing, I had him beside Gojo, and I had him and Gojo do their ultimates together. And low-key, Inumaki did a nice little chunk of health before Gojo let it off. So I was a little surprised by his damage. And I know I just said I don't really buy into rare characters for damage or defense, but like, for the fact that he's doing all the other things that he's doing, the extra damage didn't hurt. And also, guys, I realized that your dupes not only give you stats, but they also increase your combo ultimate effect. I didn't realize that. So maybe the wiki could get updated and have like combo ultimate effect from Awakening 0 to Awakening 5 or whatever. But he recovers 10% HP on him and allies combo. And he probably heals even more than that if you get it up higher, which is good because he needs the self-healing because he is killing himself constantly doing these skills. Granted, you'll barely use his ultimate. You'll mainly just be using this stun right here, but there is still a high possibility that you're going to have to use this skill to build up and get towards that last room. So he will be eating his health away turn by turn. So you do want to make sure that you're careful. But on to the next character. Now, this one is a curveball. Take this one with a grain of salt, but he is an obstructor. We're not here for a skill 1. It just deals so I'm not really going to read all this because, like I said, we're not trusting rare characters for damage. This is a melee move, and if he has Divine Dogs out, then it increases his break damage, and White Dog or Black Dog, it does extra Jujutsu damage as well. So all of his damaging skills have different effects if you have the White Dog or the Black Dog out. Skill 2 is a 50%, or it's only 50% damage, but at level 1, it has a 108% chance to stun the enemy. I did not know this, and then I was like, okay, well, Fushigoro is probably still useless, but then also because his this skill right here costs 30 as opposed to Inumaki's costing 20, so automatically it's more expensive for Fushigoro to get his stuns off. But at level 1, it is already over a 100% chance. So that is actually really, really good in my opinion. You get it up to level 2, it's already 116. And if my theory stands true, where characters aren't necessarily immune to stun, but they just have a very high resistance to it, starting off with somebody who's going to have even higher stun chance is going to be better than, you know, somebody who's not going to. And this skill does really weak damage, but low-key, while Fushigoro is stunning the enemy for you, he is throwing some damage out there. Just something to consider, right? I don't want you to think that I'm like saying screw damage on rare characters and saying, but he does pretty good damage. What I'm saying is, screw the damage and defensive capabilities and damage reduction and blocking and tanking and all that on rare characters. But if they're dealing damage in addition to very helpful effects for your team, then I'm down to use that as a brownie point. Like, oh, also while you're doing this, you're dealing damage too. So GG. The reason why I put Fushigoro a little further than Inumaki though is because his skill 3 right here that does cost 20 cursed energy, I don't really think you need to worry about using it too much because you're not trying to do damage with this man, and his buff does not change this stun skill at all, which is what you're going to be using him for majority of the time. But if you look at his ultimate here, his ultimate has a 70% chance to stun an enemy, and then if you get all the way up to level 10, it has a 139% chance to stun the enemy. So the reason why I put Fushigoro ahead of Inumaki is just because he has 2 stuns built into his kit, and even though this one costs more, it starts off at a higher base chance and goes really high. Like, that's nearly a 200% chance to stun the enemy versus Inumaki's 156 point whatever percent to stun the enemy. And then he has another 139% chance right here, which damn near combats Inumaki's 140% chance to stun the enemy. So I would say Fushigoro might actually be somewhat of a clutch man. And then I like that. He doesn't heal, but I bring healers most of the time anyway. And plus, everybody who's playing the game, who knows how to play the game, is literally getting their Gojo and then waiting for Yuta to come out. So everybody's going to be getting Yuta, so you'll have a DPS healer that can make sure that everybody's topped off for you. But he instead recovers cursed energy to allies, which I think I might like a little bit more. So maybe don't sleep on Fushigoro, and before you guys test Fushigoro out, leave it to me to be like the sacrifice for you and test Fushigoro out myself, so that we can know for sure, like, okay, was this worth it or not? But like I said, rare characters, cheaper to work on, so free gimmicks, I guess so. The next character, y'all might not have seen this coming because I don't talk about him too much and I haven't even used him yet. I just kind of looked over his skills one time and I was just like, oh, okay, he has this. That's really good, actually. I didn't know his first name. I didn't know Ichiji's first name was Kiyotaka. But he is a supporter. Once again, we're following that thing. We're following that theme of who cares about damage on rare characters. Melee taijutsu damage, no one cares, right? Right here. Increases all allies taijutsu by 24.3%, and then increases all allies taijutsu by 38.7%. Now, I do typically prefer characters who boost taijutsu and jujutsu. It just works better in general for a team. But if you have a team with, I don't know, Toji on it, or I don't remember if Yuta has cursed or taijutsu or jujutsu, but I assume he has both because of his sword and Rika, right? But if you have a team of characters who are working based off of physical damage, which a few characters do, this man is going to be insane for that. And since he's not doing a jujutsu buff for a rare character, I would say that this buff is actually pretty high, starting out at 24% and going up to 38%. Not to mention, this only costs 15, so that is a super cheap skill to get off. This skill right here costs 30, but if you get to level 10, it increases all allies damage received by 26.4%. So that kind of sucks, and I don't want to give him like a pass because he's not literally a jujutsu sorcerer. But low key, a lot of the stuff in the game is kind of based off the show. Like, it feels one-to-one what I'm seeing. Gojo being the guy who cleans up everybody's mess at the end of the fight, one-to-one to the show. All the other characters are just kind of like supporting side characters, and they're going to do these little chunks of health, whatever, blah blah blah. Very accustomed to the show. What else? Literally, so just how these characters function and how good they are in relation to each other. It all relates to, it correlates to the show very closely, in my opinion. But literally, you're going to be playing with Gojo, then Yuta's going to come, and what is Yuta in JJK? The guy that everybody knows as second to Gojo. So like, of course, when Yuta comes, that's when the meta shifts, and then like all of a sudden Yuta's like the #1 guy, especially because of his damage and his heals. Then, you know, it's gonna go to another Gojo when Gojo does Hollow Purple, and Hollow Purple is supposed to be like the most OP technique. So of course, it plays off of the show very well. But decreasing all allies damage, I mean, this is okay. I feel like he could have done something else with this skill, and it costs 30. But I'm not really gonna be focused on this skill too much, because I try to build my units out to a point where they can just kind of eat them hits, and I usually have a healer, like I said. But this is where I was like, yo, Ijichi seems kind of crazy. Yo, this man fills the ultimate gauge by 200 at level 1 with his ultimate. You know what he does at level 10? Because I sure don't. Nearly 400 to your ultimate gauge, bro. It doubles. That's crazy how much ultimate you're getting. And all you gotta do is give this man a page that boosts his ultimate faster, and then he's pretty much a cursed energy like ult battery. So I am more so putting him above Inumaki and Fushigoro, because the way that his stuff works, everything on his kit affects the team and doesn't really worry about affecting the enemies. When you have to worry about affecting the enemies, you have to worry about extra resistances and things like that. When all your stuff is predicated towards your team, it doesn't really matter, because your team's not going to have resistance to you buffing. So that's why I put the supporters higher than the obstructors or interferers or whatever, right? But there is one man, so he recovers cursed energy as well when he does a combo skill, which I do like. But here is the cream of the crop, the #1 top Chad dude for rare characters who I have been using since day one. And shout out to Slug. I didn't know this man was that crazy, because if y'all know, I did not translate stuff in the Japanese version. I just kind of played, right? But shout out to Slug, because I saw him use the character and I was like, oh, that's crazy as hell, and that made me check it out. So I was like, that's crazy as hell. So this character is like my #1 rare character, man. That boy Kaito, the original character in the game. Who would have thought that the developers of the game made their original character an actual good unit, so that people would be interested in their original character? And honestly, just random side note, not even for the video, this man's design is clean. He looks like a very basic stock standard main character, but he's very clean. And also the little white cuffs on his sleeves gives him a nice little touch, right? Because everybody's wearing the same uniform, but like Fushigoro's has Yuji's has a nice little like touch to it, because, you know, he has the red right here. So I like how everybody's like kind of like in uniform, but everybody has their own little tiny thing that differentiates them. But let's look over Kaito Yuki. This skill literally does not matter. 100% melee damage does not matter. This skill right here is pretty good. This one decreases the selected allies damage received by 25% for 3 turns, right? I didn't know that this was for a selected ally, but yeah, I did. I knew this was for a selected ally, but it almost goes up to 40%, which a lot of those rare tank characters are trying to give that to themselves. But honestly, I feel like it's better placed to giving it to an ally instead. And this skill only costs 10 energy, so very good, very fast to get out. You can just keep spamming that one, keep your homies topped up. But honestly, you could literally pass this around to different characters on your team, just because it's going to be 3-turn buff anyway. The main, not the main piece, but like this right here is super nice actually. I've started to realize this a lot. Recover all allies cursed energy by 10 every turn. This helps you so much spam curse techniques on different characters, because they're getting their regular recharge rate on their cursed energy, and then also they're going to be getting extra recharge rate on their cursed energy from this man. And if you get this skill all the way up to level 10, you recover nearly 20 points of cursed energy every turn. In addition to what you get. So literally you're going to be getting over 20 points of cursed energy every turn. That is absolutely ridiculous. I can literally spam other characters' skills that are like 30 2 turns back to back. Sometimes 3 if I get lucky enough, if the turns come out right and I'm having all the correct characters together. But Kaito is a curse technique battery, which I already said Ijichi is like a ultimate battery, but a curse technique battery is more important, because your curse techniques are skills that are going to be much more accessible to you more often in the fight. So you're going to be using those a lot more, so you're going to have to work with those a lot more. So somebody who can provide those to you more and give you more freedom, more options with those skills is going to be a super crucial character to your team. And then ultimate curse technique boost. This skill is insane. Increases all allies Jujutsu damage by 64.8% for 3 turns, excluding himself. And if you go all the way up to level 10, a nearly 130% boost to your Jujutsu damage, bro. That's crazy. Now, I know I'm glazing this a lot, even though it's just Jujutsu damage. Yes, it's just Jujutsu damage, but the reality is that a lot of the characters, majority of the characters, honestly, in the game, work off of cursed energy because they are sorcerers. This is called Jujutsu Kaisen. That is Japanese for sorcery fight. So a lot of people are using sorcery, and a lot of people are using techniques. The people who just fight fist of hand-to-hand combat are oddities or literally side characters because they don't have a cursed technique. Ijichi, for example, right? So Another thing is, this Jujutsu buff, while it is just a Jujutsu buff, is huge. This man is more than doubling your damage. He's almost 1.5 times, or almost 2.5 times in your damage, because 100% would be times 2. He's almost giving you like a 2.5 times buff to your damage. Not to mention Gojo, obviously the main piece of the game. Every Gojo that comes out is going to be scaling off of cursed energy. So if you have this guy who can boost your cursed energy nearly 130%, every single Gojo that you have is going to be good with him. And if he's good with every single variant of the best character in the game, then he's godly. He's insane. He's cracked. Combo ultimate effect. Decreases own and combo allies damage received by 10%. So this one doesn't really matter that much because typically enemies are all wiped out, or if not, nearly dead, and their thing is broken so they can't even attack me the next turn typically when I'm using a combo ultimate between Kaito and Gojo. But this is still good just to give me the damage reduction anyway. But nah, bro, Kaito is absolutely goated. That boy is clean. This man, I was watching Slug yesterday, and he was like, "Yo, if they dropped an SSR Kaito on JP right before the anniversary, they might date me." And I'm just like, "Yo, I can't front on you." That's a valid statement. Do you see how this man performs? This man is rare and he performs crazy. I low-key was using the SR in the Japanese version, I think, and he still somewhat did something for me. He's still a buffer and everything, but like even still, all the variants of the characters, my experience with him, he's either been solid or extremely great. So guys, that is it for my list of rare characters that you should be working on. Do not sleep on these units just because their rarities are lower. And also guys, I haven't really been paying attention to how many materials go into a rare versus an SSR character. So if what I'm saying about rare characters being cheaper to invest in is not true, then let me know in the comments down below. I will, I guess, apologize for misinformation, but typically in gacha games, that is how it functions. Rare characters are usually cheaper to work on. But that's going to be it for the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Make good decisions and work on the good characters that you need. And I'll let y'all know right now, basically where I'm at, I have 8 main characters worked on right now. Not even 4 or 2 teams. Like they're just a series of characters that I'm cycling out a lot. And this is one of the characters. Inumaki is one of the characters. Fushigoro and Ijichi are not those characters because I just kind of started off running with what I wanted to started off running with, right? And I got Kaito before Ijichi. I got you get Fushigoro firsthand, but I didn't know he had the stuns. Then I got Inumaki, and I was like, oh, he has 100% stun. Okay, that's crazy, right? But I'm just using what I'm using, man. But just from what I'm looking at, these characters seem pretty damn good. I'm not even gonna say for rare characters, they're just good, which makes them excellent for rare characters if they actually just seem good. But that's gonna be it for your boy DEADMANVINCE. Make good decisions, Magic Knights, and be waiting for Yuta. He is on the horizon at some point here, but be ready and don't be fucked. That's your boy DEADMANVINCE. Peace out.